Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The last thing we discussed was the ikhtilaf between the Hanafi madhab, Imam Abu Hanifa, etc., with regards to the dropping the dung being najasat ghalidha or najasat khafifa. And we said the preferred opinion according to Imam Abu Hanifa is that whether it is ma'kulul laham, that which you consume the flesh, or that which you do not consume the flesh, all of it is najasat ghalidha. Right? We discussed that in detail, right? Sidi, and then we said that takhfif comes about. Why? When there is some type of ta'aruz in the text, etc. And then the argument was brought that, look, with regards to dung, etc., there is a necessity for some type of concession because it is, it is a common affliction, balwa. Then we answered, we said the concession is in the form that what? That it can be if you got like your shoes, you walk on the ground, that's leather, you can give it a thorough scrub, a thorough scratch, it will be clean, right? Are you with me? So I just want to take you back one. If you look at this ibarat, إِذَا أَصَابَ الْخُفَّ نَجَاسَةٌ, when we just started the whole discussion on the cleansing of najasat, when we just started the discussion, there we remember we mentioned that according to Imam Abu Hanifa, if the najasat has mass and the thing which is afflicting is a tough, durable thing, like not so porous like leather. Then when it dries, you just have to give it a thorough scratch, then it becomes pure. Remember, that was according to Imam Hanifa, but not according to Imam Muhammad. Imam Muhammad was more rigid. I'll just read the ibarat again. See, وَإِذَا أَصَابَ الْخُفَّ نَجَاسَةٌ, when the khuf is afflicted with najasat, لَهَا جِرْمٌ, it has mass, كَالرَّوْثِ, like dung, وَالْأَزْرَةِ, dry dung, wet dung, وَالدَّمِ, blood, والمنيه money, right? فجفت, and then it dried. فدلكه بالأرض, and then you scratch it on the earth. جاز, وهذا استحسان, right? وقال محمد لا يجوز والقياس إلا في المني. Remember, Imam Muhammad was more strict. Imam Muhammad said no. The only thing that you're allowed to scratch off is money. And he used the clear hadith of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we had some text to support our view there, but also like the logical explanation was this: that look here, that a durable thing like leather, etc., and it has mass. When it dries, it draws out the najasat. Remember? So remember, there Imam Muhammad was more rigid. He was more rigid than Imam Abu Hanifa, and he was more rigid than Imam Yusuf. Are you with me? But here in this last ibadah we discussed, Imam Muhammad had a change of heart, right? Until here, I hope you understand all that other masail there that previously we discussed, that we not differentiate between ma'akul laham and ghayr ma'akul laham, the dung or the waste matter or the droppings of edible animals and non-edible animals, all of it is najis, etc. Then we gave the ikhtilaf with Imam Yusuf. Imam Yusuf said that non-edible animals, that is the haliza, and animals is khafifa, right? So now, so this year, wa an Muhammadin is actually extension of the ibarat of wa in asab al khuffa najasatun laha jirmun karrawti wal adrati, right? So Imam Muhammad had a change of heart. He says wa an Muhammadin anna lama dakhala raya. So remember, Imam Muhammad's fatwa was what? That if the najasat comes, if anyone is not sure what we're talking about, please ask us, we'll explain it again. But I think we're on the same page. So this is linked to that ibarat there, you understand? Imam Muhammad said, if najasat comes on your shoes or your khuf, right, then mere scratching it. So initially, Imam Muhammad was more rigid. You have to what? Wash it. So here he had a change of heart. When he entered Ray, it's a place, right? Wara al Balwa, and he saw the common affliction. That was the roads are filled up with dung, etc., and it's mixed with the soil. And there's no way you could go through the road except that you will also get messed with it. Say, Wara al Balwa, after أن الكثير الفاحشة لا يمنع أيضا. Then he gave the fatwa that a lot even if it's more than a dirham, right? Even if it's a lot, right? It will not prevent your salah. It will not prevent your salah. وقاس عليها طين Bukhara. So the two main places was Bukhara and Ray. So the ulama of Bukhara, that's why inshallah one day if you specialize in fiqh, in Hanafi fiqh, you'll see there that the mashayikh of Bukhara say like this, the mashayikh ma wara unar, that, etc. Right? So they said, look here, the streets of Bukhara are similar to the streets of Ray. So if there's some latitude with regards to Ray, it also should be some latitude with regards to Bukhara, right? So, وَإِنَّ ذَلِكَ in the ذلك in the zarf, ne? So what that, what witnessing the difficulty that the people of Ray will experience, right? So وإذا ذلك وإن رجوعه في الخف يروى. What that he made ruju. So initially he was saying that if a little najasat that got messed, it afflicts your khuf, you have to wash it. But now when he saw the difficulty that people are experiencing, in a Rai, etc., you can say he compromised more. He gave more latitude in the Masai. He's saying that now, even if a lot comes, that it will, maybe a lot could refer to maybe what the person considered to be a lot, or like the other explanation we gave there, 1/4 and more is not tolerable. So until 1/4 or more is not afflicted, there will be some type of latitude in it. The Masa we're going to do today is interesting. Inshallah, we learn some interesting things here. read it. Bismillah, tafadal. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. See, if you're following the discussion nicely, remember the urine of that animal that it is allowed to consume, like a cow, ox, etc., etc. That urine, right? It is, we'll say, according to Imam Muhammad, rahimahullah ta'ala, that its urine is not najis, right? So follow. وَإِنْ أَصَابَهُ بَوْلُ الْفَرَسِ is the urine of a horse afflicted or soiled something. لم يفسده حتى يفحش عند أبي حنيفة. So Imam Abu Hanifa says it will not contaminate it, it will not render it impure حتى يفحش until it is not a lot in the Abu Hanifa. So this is in keeping with the principle of Imam Abu Hanifa that بول ما يؤكل لحمه, the urine of that thing which it is eaten, it's permissible to eat it, it is najasat khafifa. So 1/4 and more will only be considered to be impermissible. So from that you learn, according to Imam Hanifa, a horse is considered to be from amongst those animals which is halal to consume the flesh because he's considering the urine of it to be najasat khafifa. Are you with me? Right. So حتى يفحش in Abi Hanifa. Right. وأبي يوسف. Right. وإن محمد لا يمنعه وإن فحش. According to Imam Hanifa, Muhammad, remember his principle, he said any animal which is permissible to eat, it's not najis at all. The urine is not najis at all. And he used the hadith of Uraniyin, etc., which you done in Usul Shashi, right? So what's his reason? لأن بول ما يؤكل لحمه طاهر عنده, because the urine of that which is flesh is consumed طاهر عنده, it is pure according to Imam Abu Hanifa. So in other words, sorry, according to Imam Muhammad. So you can see there Imam Muhammad is saying that a horse is like a cow, a horse is like a sheep. It is from those animals which is permissible to eat, right? So that means its urine will not be najis at all according to Muhammad. And according to Imam Hanifa, according to his principle, if it's an animal that is consumed, then 1/4 or more will not be permissible to be najis, right? So he's saying, لأن بول ما يؤكل لحمه طاهر عنده, and مخفف النجاسة عند أبي حنيفة. And sorry, in Abu Yusuf, and it is a lesser type of najasat, the lighter type of najasat, according to Imam Yusuf, right? وَلَحْمُهُ مَأْكُولٌ عِنْدَهُمَا. They're saying, look here, the flesh of the horse, مَأْكُولٌ, it is eaten, else it is permissible to eat according to Sahibain, according to Yusuf. So that fits in perfect with the principle. If Imam Muhammad said a horse, you can eat it, so that means what will happen? Its urine is 100% packed, right? And according to Imam Yusuf, if you say you can eat the horse, then what happens? Then one fourth or more is not tolerable, right? So, uh, what I'm making reference to here is this here, that look here, uh, I gave you the reasoning why. Now, according to Imam Hanifa, also, I'm breaking away from the script here from the Kitab. There is some narrations where he said it is makruh to consume the horse of a flesh, right? And ulama explained there that the reason why he said it is makruh to consume the horse of the flesh is not because the horse in itself is haram. There was a time in Islam when the horse was alatul jihad. What was it? It was an instrument of jihad. So he said if people start eating the horses, it will result in taqlili alatil jihadi. It will result in a decrease in the instruments of jihad. So the karahat was not because there was any problem with the flesh. So, in other words, Imam Abu Hanifa considered a horse to be from the halal animals, but because of external factors, you cannot consume it. Now, if we consider a horse to be from the halal animals, then also it fits in perfect with his usul that because it is from the ma'kulul laham, one fourth or more will not be acceptable, right? Are you with me? So I told you, so technically speaking, horse meat in the Hanafi madhab would be permissible to eat. Obviously, if it is slaughtered according to the proper Shari'i manner, but that karahat, which is narrated from Imam Abu Hanifa, that is because of it taqlilu alatil jihad, which is not applicable today. I was reading somewhere they say one of those countries where horse meat is served as like a delicacy. I think if I remember correctly, say in Cambodia, the people are very very fond of horse meat. So if you happen to visit there and you get some halal horse meat, فليتفضل مشكورا. Anyway, وأما in the Abi Hanifa, according to Imam Hanifa, right, according to his principle, remember what he said, when either there is ikhtilaf between the ulama or either the text from the Quran and the Hadith are contradictory, some suggest it is pure, some suggest impure, then it steps down a gear, it drops from najasate غليظة to najasate khafifa, and a horse is from amongst those things because it is ma'kulul laham, right? And the ma'kulul laham, some riwayat suggest that if the animal is edible, the urine is not haram, it is not najis. And other riwayat istanzif min al-bawli fa inna amat adhab al-qabr, that suggests that he's najis. So because of the contradictory text, it will drop down a gear from khalira to khafifa. So amma in Abi Hanifa فالتخفيف يعني فهو نجاسة مخففة. Why? لتعارض الآثار, because of the contradictory text. Read the new next sabak, inshallah. Okay, so the next masla is also very interesting and it's also very important because many of us sometimes we have birds, etc. So we can discuss now the dropping of birds. وإن أصاب خرء ما لا يؤكل لحمه من الطيور أكثر من قدر الدرهم جازت الصلاة فيه in Abi Hanifata. So خرء means like the dropping. So if the dropping of that, right? So ما لا يؤكل is a موصول which become the مضاف إلينا. The dropping of that which its flesh is not eaten, not permissible to eat, like from a hawk, from a falcon, مالك لحمه من الطيور, from amongst the birds, right? It's afflicted أكثر من قدر الدرهم, more than a dirham, right? جازت الصلاة فيه, صلاة will be permissible in it, in the Abi Hanifata or Abi Yusuf rahimahullah, according to Imam Hanifa and Imam Yusuf. So what do you understand from that? If you sharp, you'll remember, you immediately catch on that according to them, that the dropping of a haram bird, it is najasate khafifa. It is not najasate ghaliza. And why? Because more than a dirham will be tolerable. See, قروا ما لا يكلف أكثر من أكثر من قدر جازت الصلاة فيه. Right? So that shows you that according to Imam Abu Hanifa, the dropping of a bird that is not consumed is considered to be najasat khafifa. Carry on reading. Right. So, وقال محمد لا يجوز. Imam Muhammad says no, it's not permissible. So then what shows you? What does it show you? This shows you, rahimahullah ta'ala, he's saying that the dropping of a bird that is not eaten. Oh, right. So this shows you, according to Imam Muhammad, he's saying that the dropping of a bird that is not eaten, like a falcon, a hawk, etc., it is najasate ghaliza. Right. وقال محمد لا يجوز. Carry on. Okay, now I want you to pay attention carefully. See, yeah, we discussed the ikhtilaf, right? According to Shaykhain is who Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Yusuf. From the text here, they saying that the dropping of a bird that is not halal to eat, it is najasate khaliza, right? Are you with me? And then we got sorry, it's najasate khafifa. And then Imam Muhammad is saying it is najasate, what? Ghaliza, right? So I told you, whenever you get Qila, it refers to a weak opinion. So it is been said by some ulama that the ikhtilaf is not whether it is Ghaliza or Khafifa, but rather the ikhtilaf between them is whether it is najis at all or not najis. So in other words, some ulama say that according to Imam Abu Hanifa and according to Imam Yusuf, that the dropping of a bird that is not eating, its dropping is not najis at all. And Imam Muhammad saying it is najis. Are you with me? That's what he's saying. So this is a nice tricky question that come in exams. فَقَدْ قِيلَ إِنَّ الْإِخْتِلَافَ فِي النَّجَاسَةِ. It has been said that the difference of opinion, here you can say the difference of opinion between Sahibain, sorry, between Shaykhain and between Muhammad is fi nafsi najasa, whether it is najis or not. And then the other opinion is وَقَدْ قِيلَ فِي الْمِقْدَارِ. And some ulama say no, as has been explained in the kitab on top, that is correct, that both agree it's najis, but the ikhtilaf is only in whether it is with regards to how much is intolerable. And we know obviously if it is najasat ghaliza, a dirham or more is not tolerable. If it is najasat khafifa, 1/4 of the part of the cloth is not or more is not tolerable. So yeah, this is the accepted opinion that the ikhtilaf is in the miqdar. Whether it is ghaliza or khafifa, the ikhtilaf is not in whether it is najis or tahir. Are you with me? Carry on reading. Yeah. So now, sorry, carry on. Right. So listen now nicely. Imam Muhammad said it is najasate ghaliza. It is najasate ghaliza. So he's saying, they're giving the reason why Imam Muhammad says najasate ghaliza. He's saying, وَيَقُولُ إِنَّ لِلضَّرُورَةِ, that normally um, najasat will be categorized as khafifa, not ghaliza, because there's some type of necessity. It is difficult, right? يقول, so he's mentioning a am qaida. In that takfifa, dropping najasa down from ghaliza to khafifa. Remember, Imam Abu Hanifa said we drop down from what? From ghaliza to khafifa. Either Imam Yusuf and Muhammad said, sorry, Imam Yusuf and Imam Abu Hanifa said we drop down from ghaliza to khafifa, either because the texts are contradictory or the other ulama, there's difference of opinion amongst them. That is why we drop down, right? So Imam Muhammad got a different principle here. He says, look here, you drop down from ghaliza to khafifa because of some type of necessity. Like when there is difficulty in it, it's difficult to consider this as najis. ويقول إن التخفيف للضرورة. That dropping it down, stepping it down again is because of necessity. You see, ولا ضرورة لعدم المخالطة فلا يخفف. So he's saying, look here, like you look at dung, etc. You live in the agrarian society, then it's difficult. You walk in the roads. There aren't asphalt roads, there aren't cement roads, there aren't paved roads. So you are going to get soiled somehow or the other. So because of that, we'll drop it down. So here he's saying, look here, birds fly, non-edible birds fly in the air. Your interaction or the chances of you become soiled or your chances of become sullied with this is very minimal. So there's no great difficulty in considering to be outright najis. That's what he's saying. See, it's nice to understand the principles behind. If you can catch on and understand the principles within Imam Hanifa's principle that you step down because of either the contradictory text or the difference of the opinion. And Imam Muhammad says you drop it down from being outright khaliza to khafifa when there's some type of need for it, right? So he's saying here is no need because nobody works and interacts with predatory birds, siba'um tuyur, birds that are not allowed to consume, birds that consume other birds, or rats and insects and mice. You don't work with them every day. You don't find it dung on the road every day, etc. So there's no difficulty in considering to be outright najis. He's saying, wala darurata. There's no need for it to step down from the heavy type. Why? لِعَدَمِ الْمُخَالَطَةِ. Because you don't mix with them so often, right? فَلَا يُخَفَّفْ. Hence, it will not be considered to be the lighter type. There won't be that extra concession. وَلَهُمَا. So, yeah, Sahibain, Shaykhain, we said it is Najaasat Khafifa, not Khaliza, they're giving the reason. Again, you have to imagine you're living in the countryside here, you're living in the agrarian society. وَلَهُمْ أَنَّهَا تَغْرِقُ مِنَ الْهَوَاءِ. That does normally these predatory birds, right? uh, they do the dropping in the sky, right? أنها تغرق من الهواء والتحامي أنه متعذر. So to protect yourself from it is difficult. You may be going to the masjid, you're traveling, and here a bird just drops something from the sky, right? فتحققت الضرورة. So the necessity is there because you can be unintentionally afflicted with it, right? So this is ولو وقع في الإناء قيل يفسد. So till here we were discussing the masla where that falls on your clothes, etc. Now, if you were with us from the beginning, we're going to touch another masla here that when najasat, whether it is khafifa or ghaliza, it doesn't matter. When it falls into a liquid of water, it renders it. So this is an important point here also to remember. Ghaliza and khafifa, the difference comes about in styling your body. Please. Right. So remember, this difference of ghaliza and khafifa, it is when it touches your clothes or when it touches your body. We done this in Fiqhul Muyassar, and also we done it in the beginning of Hidayah Sharif. Whether it is ghaliza or khafifa, if it falls into a liquid like water or anything, then even a single drop will render it complete najis. Remember, right now we're touching on that. So now the same uh, droppings of a bird that is not eaten, right? There's ikhtilaf, whether it is ghaliza or khafifa, etc. Um, some ulama say, وَلَوْ وَقَعَ فِي الْإِنَاءِ قِيلَ يُفْسِدُهُ. That if it happens as such that the bird was flying over and it dropped its, into a utensil or maya qalil, right? يُفْسِدُهُ. It will corrupt it. It will render it najis. وَقِيلَ لَا يُفْسِدُهُ. Some say no, it will not render it najis. لِتَعَذُرِ الصَّوْنِ الْأَوَانِ anhu. And they say there's a zarurat here. That look here, in previously in the countryside, you had open water sources, etc. And with Maya Khalil, you got a small brook, you got a small well, or you got a small utensil. Now, there is necessity to say it won't render it najis. So because of the zarurat, وَقِيلَ لَا يُفْسِدُهُ. it is said it will not render it najis للتعذر الأواني because of the difficulty of protecting the utensils from it. So there you see this ikhtilaf, but the fatwa is not mentioned. To be honest with you, I don't know the fatwa myself. I'll have to check it up in one of the fatwa kitabs. So, but I would imagine, I would just imagine that if you apply a strict application of the law, is that it would render it najis. Because whether it is najasat ghaliza or whether it is najasat khafifa, then we know when it falls in water, it will, and it's maya qalil, then it will render it najis. And remember, if you remember the usul properly, if it is maya kathir, then either one of the three qualities must change: the taste, the smell, whatever, for it to become najis if it is maya kathir. Okay, we stop there. Today's Thursday. Yeah, so tomorrow we're going to do some interesting style also about the blood of a fish and the leftover water of a mule. Is it najis, etc. So that we'll do tomorrow.